Pisces, how are you? Let's do a reading for your current energy, shall we? As always, please take what works, leave what doesn't. We all know who we are in the story. So I sure appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. And if you appreciate what I do here, help me out. Hit that like button right there. Boink. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really makes a difference to my channel. And I would love to see my channel continue to grow. All right, let's see what's going on for you, all my fishies out there. Let's see what's going to happen for the next 7 to 10 days. Grateful, thankful for the messages, always. So we got the energy of the hermit coming in because I feel as if there is a direction you want to go in, but there's a block. When we do have the energy of the chariot coming in reversed, you know, it wants us to move forward, but somehow we don't know how to do that. All right. And here, when we turn the card upright, we do see that there's these two signs this way and that way. I mean, we're confused. And the hermit is saying maybe we need to sit with ourselves and see if we can gain some clarity. Because you, as the hermit, you have a lot of wisdom. You have a lot of, you know, experience that you can tap into. There's a lot inside of you that you need to kind of connect with in order for you to see, how can I get past this block? How can I make the decision that I feel will be the right decision in moving forward? So we've got that to start with, my Pisces. Let's see what else we've got. Let's get a few more cards out here before we move it any further. Now, there's stress, there's anxiety. Look, we've got here the Nine of Swords in the near future. And then we have the Ten of Swords that follows it. So whenever I see the Nine of Swords, all right, there is stress, there is anxiety, there is a situation that, you know, is really bothering you. You can't sleep at night, you know, you don't eat, you know, it's affecting you in your work. It affects you because you're not sleeping. And here with this chariot reversed, you know, it could be about like, I don't know what my next move is going to be. But we do have the Ten of Swords coming out. So there is this need for a situation to come to an end in order for you to be able to move forward. All right, so when we see the Nine of Swords, we know that this stress, this anxiety, whatever it is that we are going through, we have to meet it head on. All right, and we're at that point where how much more can we take? The Ten of Swords says this needs to come to an end because this hurts. This is painful. So let's take a look at some of the other cards and see if we can get a little bit deeper into this. Now, we do have the Seven of Swords as an extension. So what the Seven of Swords is, it's a very interesting energy because at first glance, it appears as somebody sneaking around. And that may be so, you know, you may be dealing with a situation where, you know, somebody isn't being very honest and maybe they're doing things behind your back, or maybe you're doing that to them. I don't know. You know, but when we do have the Seven of Swords, it's truly an energy about finding a solution. And let's not deal with all of this, you know, stuff, these other swords, and deal with the core issues, which are the two that are up here on the mantle. So in order to resolve this state that you're in, because there's a lot of mental energy here, the Ten of Swords, the Nine of Swords, the Seven of Swords. Here we do have the Tower in the recent past. You've been avoiding making a move, you know, this block that you have. And in avoiding making this move, it's only bringing you into a place of more anxiety. Now, I always say, you know, good or bad, once we make a decision, we have direction. And right now, with this Chariot card coming in reversed, we don't have that direction because we don't know what decision to make. So this is the advice of the Hermit. It says, why don't you stop? Take the time, you know, take some space, get some clarity, tune in with the light inside of you to see what you need to do next. Because there's this need for you to find some inner strength. Now, if we look at this image here, you know, she has got her hand over here, just kind of keeping the attention of this lion at bay while, you know, you're keeping some big tornado about to hit. You know, you have the ability, you know, to get a hold of this situation before anything really hits. And we have the Tower. You know, I think you're looking for resolution here. With the Tower card coming in reverse, you don't want things to crumble, but I feel as if they already are, especially with you trying to keep, you know, the bigger thing from happening, which is this decision that you need to make and this move that you need to make. So some of the other cards, all right, trying to gain a little bit more clarity here. We do have the Page of Pentacles. Now, the Page of Pentacles is a new beginning, a new direction. Maybe I should go in this direction. Maybe I should go in that direction. Here we see this man, you know, or person flipping a coin. But before him is his destiny, right? And I think you know the path that you want to take, the one that will lead to the castle that is in your dreams. But again, it's going to take this decision, you know, this thing that you have to get into the Chariot, even though you don't know whether or not you should do this. You know, this is why you're in a place of, I want to say, pause, where you have to stop and really gain a little bit of perspective and see whether or not you can find the answers and the solutions within in order to make the next move. Now, there is an energy that I feel you are fighting against. A Knight of Swords, all right? Here we have this guy, he's upside down. A lot of times the Knight of Swords can be an aggressive energy because it does bring, you know, fighting for your own rights or fighting for what it is you believe in, going against all odds, but it's reversed. And I feel like, you know, some of this avoidance of the tower hitting and the avoidance of making this move is because of, you know, the fear of what this energy is, this aggressive anger energy that could explode. And we see that here with this Strength card. You know, you don't want this tornado to hit. Right? So maybe you have not really made the moves because of the explosive energy that's going to happen as a result of your decision. Now, your final outcome is very important because here we have the Devil card. All right, so the Devil card is coming in and it's saying, you know, there is something that is really not healthy here. This is very toxic. And, you know, I did mention temptation, and we do have the energy of temptation that comes up with the Devil. You know, it's easier to stay in this energy than to make a break for it, you know, because, you know, in the moment it serves us, but it doesn't in the long run. So the Devil energy is very, you know, self-imposed. All right, in the traditional Rider-Waite, the chains that are put over the two images, you know, it's very loose. I mean, you can release yourself from this energy. You can release yourself from this situation. You can move away from this toxic energy. But with the Chariot card coming in reversed, you don't really want to, or maybe you don't know how. So this week, you know, there is this need for you to make a decision. All right, and you don't want things to end, but I feel as if unless you make this decision, Pisces, to make the next move, you know, you are going to continue in this place of anxiety. And the order is, and you know what the order is like, if I bring this to an end, what happens? Well, focus on that bright light in the background. You know, you grab your broom, you get in your Chariot, and you make a move, and you go on. And when we have the energy of the Chariot, this is about you trusting the direction of your path. You know, and I got to go back to the traditional Rider-Waite, because in that Chariot, he does not have reins. He is trusting that the universe is going to get him to where they need to go. And here, you know, you need to trust that it doesn't matter which way you go as long as you make a move. You know, the worst thing that we can do is remain stagnant. The worst thing that we can do is not do anything, because it leaves us in this place of just feeling stuck and useless and helpless and not being able to make a move. So this week, let's heed the advice of the Hermit and take the time to find out what do we need to do in order to make the next move. And trust that the direction, right here, your destiny is in front of you. And you know it is time to make a move. This is asking you to, like, let's do this. And you're flipping a coin here. And it's just like, well, you know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. The Hermit says, let's sit with this and see whether or not we can get this Chariot moving and actually really make a move in a direction. And like I said, good or bad, make the decision. Because if it's the right decision, you're off and running. And if you follow your intuition, it will be the right decision. So with that being said, I got my fingers crossed for you. I want you to sit quiet. I want you to find that energy within yourself and find that wisdom that you already have and that knowing and trust that it's going to be okay if you follow it. All right, so that's what I've got for you today, Pisces. Take what works, leave what doesn't. We all know who we are in the story. I sure appreciate you. Before I end, I do have to look at the bottom of the deck. Here's that Ace of Wands. You know, there is a direction you really want to go in, and it's being delayed by this block. So let's unblock ourselves by taking the time to tune in to find out how to exactly do that. All right, so with that being said, have a beautiful day. Be happy, be healthy, be kind. Hit that like button. I'll see you later. Bye now.